Very good evening, everybody. Meeting again in the session of philosophy, and we are discussing regarding the Stuart Close philosophy. We have started discussing about the chapter 11, the symptomatology. And symptomatology is very important in order to understand the human being. He has introduced that in our homeopathic Materia Medica, the symptomatology plays a very vital role because it is written in the same manner as it has been expressed, or in the very way it has been expressed by the prover over there. And when we deal with the patient, we used to take the case in the similar manner, and we used to get the patient's expressions as it is. And that's why we have a lot of importance to the symptomatology. The microscopes never play so much of role in our homeopathy. Microscopic findings are necessary in order to diagnose the label the case, but it will not the thing which will guide you towards the prescription. What is needed is the characteristic symptom. And unless and until you get the characteristics, it is not possible. And that's why he started explaining about this symptomatology, and then he explains the symptoms defined. It is the very expression expressed by the deceased patient is the symptom. And he explained over there are two varieties of symptoms. One is subjective and other is objective. The subjective symptoms are the symptoms which are felt by the patient but are not observable to an observer, are called as subjective symptoms. And objective symptoms are the signs which are felt by the patient as well as observable to an observer, are called as objective symptoms. In homeopathy, subjectives are more important than the objectives. Subjectives gives you the identity. The subjectives gives you the individualization. Subjectives gives you the inner core, and that is very much essential. Objectives are not the things which will guide you towards the, many times they are not guide you towards the prescription or individualization. For example, patient comes with the chloasma on the face. It is not the it is the objective symptom, but which will not directly give you some identity. There are many remedies. If you open the rubric face chloasma, you will get many rubrics. Patient comes for the warts on the face. There are many remedies, and this is not the thing which has been proved during the proving. So these are things which will not guide you towards the prescription, but if the patient says something related which is suffering, related with the location, related with the sensation, related with the modality, related with the concomitant, whatever it may be, if he expresses, then you get the identity, then you get the individualization. And that's why subjective plays very vital role over there. We have not finished that paragraph in yesterday's lecture, the symptoms defined. Last paragraph of that on page number 150 will go ahead. Hahnemann further defines symptoms as the evidences of operations of influences which disturb the harmonious play of the functions. The vital principle as a spiritual dynamics, substantial entitative source of vital power and activity. So disease is at the innermost level. It is at the spiritual level. It is at the dynamic level. Expression is external in the form of signs and symptoms. And that is nothing but the language of that internal disease. And that we have to understand. And then he starts with the first variety of symptoms, which he labeled by the name of subjective symptoms. Let us go ahead what he wants to explain about the subjective symptom. Subjective symptoms are the symptoms which are discoverable by the patient alone, such as pain and other morbid sensations of the body and mind, presenting no external indications. So these are the symptoms which are felt by the patient. With Hahnemann's announcement of the doctrine of totality of the symptoms as the basis of homeopathic prescription, it became possible for the first time in the history of medicine to utilize all the phenomena of disease Prior to the Hahnemann's time, two of the most frequently occurring and important groups of symptoms were practically ignored: the mental symptoms and subjective symptoms. So Hahnemann was the first one to who started giving importance to the subjective symptoms and mental symptoms. Prior to the Hahnemann, no one was looking towards what the patient says. No one was considering what patient wants to say and what are the mentals of the patients. No one was looking towards it. Hahnemann was the first one who started giving importance to it. The regular practitioner of the medicine, even today, is interested very little in subjective symptoms. They play but a very small part in governing the practical treatment of his case. To him, they were merely inarticulate cries of the suffering, serving only to suggest the direction in which investigations are to be made by physical or laboratory methods for discovering the supposed tangible cause of the disease, and the location and character of its lesion. So, for the general practitioner, for the allopathic practitioner, the subjective symptoms doesn't play any vital role. They are vague from their point of view. They consider it never defines anything, and that's why it is quite difficult for them to prescribe on it. We'll take a simple example. It was a case 20-25 years back. Patient came to me and she said that, doctor, since last 6-7 months, I'm suffering from very severe pain over here, and it is so severe that I cannot look down. I went to the ENT specialist. He has examined, he took the X-ray, he says nothing wrong with there. Then he said that it might be a dental problem, you go to dentist. I went to dentist, he has examined, he took the X-ray again of the teeth. He said everything is right, nothing is wrong with you. So no question from my side. She said, I'm having severe pain. They said, yes, you take the painkiller, but painkillers were working only for 8 hours. Then he asked, better to consult a neurologist. It might be neurological pain. Neurologist examined and said, it is not at all neurological. She said, what to do to the neurologist? I went to dentist, I went to ENT specialist. Now they said, send to you. And you said, nothing wrong, but I am having very severe pain. He said, what can we do? It might be psychological. She was sent to the psychiatrist. And psychiatrist has given her tranquilizers. And she felt sleepy and she refused to take that treatment, and she came for homeopathic treatment. See, everyone was searching for something material which they were not able to grasp, and that's why they were not able to treat. Patient was denoting it, I am having very severe heaviness over here, I could not look down, and it is so severe, I can. So it is so simple to prescribe with homeopathy. I said, yes. She asked, doctor, may I get treated completely? I said, why not? She said, how much confidence you are having? No one said that I will cure you. Everyone have sent me somewhere else, and you are saying that you can cure. I said, on 15th day, when you will return, I'm quite sure you will not have pain. She said, how can it be? I said, our medicines are there which will work definitely. So I have given her Calibicromicum. Calibicromicum 1 ml 3 times a day for 5 days. Asked her to continue it and meet me. She met me on after a week only. When I asked her to come after 15 days, after a week, and she said, doctor, I am all right, absolutely no pain thereafter. See, this is the difference. One is theoretical practice and one is practical. Homeopathy is practical, allopathy is theoretical, because that subjective symptom was not having a meaning for them. We have that meaning. It is the symptom which is denoted by the tip of the finger, pain in spots, along with heaviness over there, specifically in maxillary area. It is calibichromicum, and that's why I have prescribed calibichromicum, and it worked. So we have to understand the importance of subjective symptoms, and subjective plays very vital role in homeopathy, and this is what he is explaining. Under the new system of therapeutics devised by Hahnemann, subjective symptoms naturally took their proper place in the study of the case as expressions of the interior states of the organism, and particularly of the psychic and mental states. They take the highest rank. Nothing can supersede them. So what he's saying, they are the most important symptoms in your case. They are the symptoms which will guide you exactly towards the remedy. These are the symptoms which individualizes one patient from the another patient. And that's why they carry the highest rank in your evaluation. What further he says, they constitute the only direct avenue of approach to that inner sphere which must otherwise remain close to our investigation, except as indirectly revealed in certain automatic or involuntary objective symptoms from which more or less accurate deductions can sometimes be made. So he says over there, when you get such types of symptoms which are subjective enough, you can gather a proper information about that individual, which is not possible with a objective symptom. Patient comes to you and says, "Doctor, there is a wart over here." What can you do? What is what? Which never carries any characteristic over there on basis of which you can individualize. Objective symptoms cannot individualize. But if he says, "Doctor, see this wart, how it looks. It looks very bad. Everyone is asking me what has happened to your face. And it looks too bad. I'm feeling very much bad about it. What to do? It gets embarrassing feeling in me." See, now this is important for you. The objective symptom, what is not important, what he is expressing is subjective, expressing his individuality. He said that whenever I used to look to it in the mirror, it looks very bad. When people ask me regarding it, I feel very bad. So now you get the remedy because it individualizes this patient from another. Here he says, what remedy he will require? What is the remedy? Now this subjective feeling, delusion rest when looking into the mirror, a clear-cut remedy is natrum miraticum. Only single remedy. So see, subjective appearance behind the objective sign plays very vital role for individualization, but objective symptom never directly individualizes. And that is the importance of subjective symptoms. They enable the physician to view disease from standpoint of the patient. How great an advantage they afford to the prescriber can be appreciated only when we are deprived of them, as in case of infants and animals, and find how much more difficult is our task under such circumstances. And he is explaining that subjective symptoms, which are very important, but when you are treating the infants, then question arises. When you never get those subjective symptoms, then you have to depend upon objective symptoms, and then you have to depend upon perceiving. And that's why it is rather difficult to treat an infant or animal where you are not getting the subjective feeling, subjective symptom. Patient can tell and express his own inner feelings about the disease, and then it becomes quite easy. Your work becomes very easy. But it is rather difficult when you are dealing with the infants. And that's why subjective symptom has its own importance in individualizing the case. Before Hahnemann's genius opened up new way, pain was merely pain. So what he's saying, Hahnemann was the first one who has given importance to the pain. What the patient expresses, how the patient expresses, what he wants to say. Everything is important. Patient says that I am having, doctor, very stitching pain over here and I have to press it very hard and then only I feel better. He's talking like that. I cannot swallow. Slightest movements aggravates it, doctor. Yes, this is subjective. This is expressing his symptom in a subjective manner. For an allopath, this doesn't play any role. It doesn't have any significance. But for you, it has a big significance. What is the remedy? That for that purpose, you should be very.
Aconites
Why aconite? Why?
is very expressive.
No, aconite never, because aconite comes in agony towards you.
Yeah.
Yes, someone have said bryonia, very correct. Rushali Kavle madam, yes. It is stitching type of pain, better by pressure, heart pressure, aggravated by slightest movement, bryonia. Because it gives the characteristics of them. And all of them are subjective, not the objective. And this is what he is expressing, that for the understanding the remedy, these are very important. Before Hahnemann's genius opened up, new way pain was merely pain. To discriminate between various kinds of pain, to analyze and classify pains, and not only pains, but all other subjective sensations and feelings, and to relate them as phenomena of disease to the remedies, as Hahnemann did, had never been thought of before. Before Hahnemann, no one was looking towards it. Hahnemann was the first one who gives importance to all those things. If someone says teaching, then you think about the Bryannias. If someone says throbbing, you may think of belladonna or glonine. If someone says it is neuralgic, then you find it out remedies related with neuralgic pain. So every remedy has its typical sensation. That has a meaning. It never remains just mere pain. And that is the important subjective symptom. It is ridiculed and scoffed at today by those who do not see that there is something radically wrong with the system of the medicine that practically ignores the great bulk of symptoms of almost every case and tantalizes the patient by learned explanations of their cause, by assurances that they are of no consequence, or if his clamor becomes too loud, clubs him into the silence with an opiate. So this is what happens over there in the modern medicine. What he says in modern medicine, what do they do? They, from their point of view, it doesn't have significance. So patient says there is stitching pain. It doesn't matter whether it is stitching, throbbing, neuralgia, cramp like. It doesn't matter for them. If patient says it is better by warm application, it doesn't matter for them. Because they will not going to prescribe on the basis of that. They will just ask the patient, yes, go for this investigation, do this investigation and find it out. All those matters for them. Their remedy never depends upon you. But your remedy depends upon all those specific features which makes the symptom characteristic. It might be location, it might be sensation, it might be modality, it might be concomitant. All of them carries a big importance to it. And that's why subjective plays very vital role in individualizing the case. So here he completes about the subjective symptoms and then he turns towards the objective symptoms. And let us see what he says about the objective symptom. Hahnemann defines objective symptoms as the expression of disease in the sensations and functions of that side of organism exposed to the senses of the physician and bystander. So things which are visible to the naked eyes, not only for the patient, even bystanders or for you, they are opened enough and you can catch very easily those symptoms, are the symptoms which are objective symptoms. In this peculiar definition, there is an allusion to his definition of disease as a dynamical disturbance of vital force and of medicine as a pure science of experience, which can and must rest on clear facts and sensible phenomena, clearly cognizable by the senses. There is also a reminder that there is more in an objective symptom than is perceptible to the eye alone. So here he explains that these are nothing but the expressions of inner disturbance of inner vital force, but still they carries less mark in individualization. If they are subjective, they carry more marks because those are individualizing, objective never individualizes. But whether it may be subjective or objective, they are nothing but the expressions of disturbed vital force. There is also a reminder that there is more an objective symptom than perceptible to the eye alone. The subjective sensations and functions of the visibly affected organ and part are to be considered as well as purely objective signs. Hahnemann here implies that functional and sensational disturbances precede organic changes, and this is consistent with his basic premise that all disease is primarily a dynamical disturbance of life principle. So every disease, whenever happens, is always happens at the functional level, whatever it may be. It never, yesterday there was a liver normal and today it is cirrhosed. No, it is a long, tedious process which requires to develop a change or to happen a change in the liver. First is it gives the signals, yes, there might be some pain in at that side, there might be some vomiting, there might be some nausea, there might be some embarrassed feeling, there might be a certain futures coming again and again, again and again, but every time you have overlooked them, you have suppressed them, you have palliated them, and it takes for years together to develop liver cirrhosis. It is not one day's entity. Same is true for each and every pathology. It never happens that yesterday the patient was normal, today the patient is absolutely having big pathology. It never happens. It is a long time which takes. And that's why every pathological, visible, objective pathology, it takes a long time. It precedes by the functional manifestations first. Before developing any tumor, there is always a preceding functional manifestation which either we overlook or which either we suppress or palliate. And this is the problem which arises. If we give proper importance to them and treat them at the same time with the help of homeopathic remedy, no further progress happens and there is no chance of developing objective symptoms or objective pathology. Hahnemann here implies that functional and sensational disturbances precede organic changes, and this is consistent with his basic premise that all disease is primarily a dynamical disturbance of life principle. He never loses sight of this fundamental conception of nature of disease. So whether the symptoms are objective or subjective, they are the result of internal dynamic derangement of the vital force. So see, very nicely he is explaining all those concepts, and why he is explaining that he wants to impose on your mind, give importance to the subjective symptoms. Then you will get a right remedy. And then he turns towards the importance of totality of the symptom. We'll read one or two paragraphs of this totality of the symptoms. Totality of the symptoms is an expression peculiar to homeopathy, which requires special attention. It is highly important to understand exactly what it means and involves, because the totality of the symptom is the true and only basis for every homeopathic prescription. The last sentence has a big meaning. What is it? Totality of the symptoms is the word which he has explained is very important. It is the true and only basis for every homeopathic prescription. So it never depends upon the name of the disease. Whether you are treating the cancer, whether you are treating the degeneration, whether you are treating the atrophy, whether you are treating the cirrhosis or gangrene, it doesn't matter. What matters is the totality of the symptoms and which guides you toward the right treatment. So, in order to get and catch the proper totality, what is needed is listening. The qualities of homeopathic physician, which he has mentioned in the aphorism number 83, for chronic case taking are very important. He writes down over there, he should be freedom from prejudice, he should have sound senses, attention in observing, and fidelity in tracing the picture of the disease. These are four criteria, and with which it is possible to get the totality on the basis of which you are going to make your prescription. So we'll stop over here and we'll conclude today's session. We'll continue with it tomorrow. And this part is most important because it gives you exactly the idea where we must look for and what we must look for. So that's all for today. If any query is there, yes, definitely we'll have. Otherwise, we'll stop. And today evening, we'll be going to discuss the Bharata Carb at 8 o'clock. Be there for the Bharata Carb. So thanks a lot being there and good evening.
Thank you, sir. Very kind of you.